Well, this is the River Wye and we've come here to fish for pike, and this is one of the most fantastic views of the Wye at Simmons Yat Rock. Now, people come here to watch peregrine falcons nesting and, of course, for this fabulous view of the river. But we're not actually fishing here, we're fishing a little way downstream at a fishery called the Bibblings. Well, walking on this old bridge is like walking on a trampoline. It's great, isn't it, Mick? One time, places like this were the exclusive playground of brigadiers and colonels, and even blokes like me and Mick can get on here, so standards mustn't slip.
Hey, speak for yourself, mate. Well, have you know, we've gone up in the world.
So, pike, well, the British record actually comes from a reservoir. It comes from Langdegfed in Wales, a fish of over 46 pounds. But we're going to try and catch a really big river pike. And the interesting thing is there is no official record for river pike, although I'm sure that the history books do record the capture of very large fish. And I'm here at the moment at the Natural History Museum in London. I've got Nigel Hewlett with me. Nigel works for both the Environment Agency and is on the British Rod Court Fish Committee. River pike, they're really interesting creatures. How do you get big river pike? What produces them?
I think it's the same with all pike. It's food and somewhere to live, but particularly with river pike, and particularly looking at the Wye, it's the size of the food they're eating, the size of the prey. Every time they eat a meal, it gives them a lot of energy for not expending much energy to catch it. And I think that's a key factor with river pike.
And if you look at the history of big river pike, two rivers stand out, the Hampshire Avon and the Wye. So do you think, Nigel, that on the Wye in particular, the fact that the game anglers are no longer culling the pike, do you think that's a factor?
I think certainly the fact fisheries management practices are changing around the country is contributing to the development of pike fisheries.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, and Nigel's already mentioned the River Wye, that is the finest pike river in England and Wales. It's a magnificent place, a place with monster pike, yes, a place of mystery, certainly, but you know, regardless of the size of the fish you catch, there is no finer place to go fishing than the River Wye on a nice cold October morning. Well, we're by the river now. It's absolutely lovely at the moment. We've got all the autumn leaves on the ground. The trees look outrageous. The river's very low, actually, but it looks really, really nice. And we're going to fish one of the old salmon pools on the river. It's very sort of steady, fairly deep, dark water, and it looks pikey. And we're going to float fish. Most of the time when I'm fishing on the river, I fish for pike with floats. I just find it's the best way, really. My favourite floats fishing on the river, believe it or not, are these cheap polystyrene sea floats. They cost next to nothing, and even at dusk when the light's really low, you can see these floats right across the river, right until the last trickle of light, and of course that is a key time to be catching pike. As far as the rest of the setup's concerned, well, it's relatively straightforward. I've got a 2-foot long wire trace, which has got a pair of size 6 trebles on it. This is an egg sinker here. Now, this basically is the weight required to either cock the float or nail a dead bait down on the bottom, and it's an interchangeable weight, so without detackling you can take this sinker off and put a different weight on, so it's a really good system. These are interesting. It's the small things that often make a difference in fishing. I use these very bright fluorescent beads when I'm pike fishing, because when I've cast out and the bait's dropping through the water, I like to be able to see when my float hits the stop knot on the line. If I'm way over depth, it'll take a long time for that float to slide up to that stop knot, and I'm normally looking to be a controlled amount over depth. So I like to see the bead hit the stop knot. It helps me gauge whether I need to adjust the depth or not. So too's the line. Now, this isn't ordinary line, this is braided line. This braid is beautiful because you can see it and you can just pick it off the water with it being floating. So fluorescent yellow really helps you present your floated bait properly. And then, again, on the subject of visibility, I mentioned that I like to see the bead hit the stop knot. I make my stop knots out of pole elastic, which is quite a bright fluorescent colour. I can see the bead slide up against it, and I know that my bait's properly set up. And that's it. Bit of an odd hodgepodge of tackle, really, but I think it's one that I've arrived at over a period of years of fishing for pike on rivers, and I feel really good using it. Catch a lot of pike. Talking of which, I think Mick's already beaten me to the swim, so I think I'll go and join him downriver and get a bait out there.
Well, it's nice to be back down in the Wye Valley. We found a really nice stretch here. Matt's tackled up behind me, I've tackled up in a very similar way to Matt. Few subtle differences, but the main thing is the tackle is really strong because these river pike really pull hard. It might look quite uninteresting from the surface, but across here there's going to be boulders, there's going to be deep gullies, there's going to be banks of streamer weed, and these are the places where the pike are lying, waiting in ambush, and they tend to move from one to the other when they're hunting. Now, on the one rod, I've got a bait known as a pollen, and it's a freshwater fish. You don't get them in this country. You tend to get them in Northern Europe and Northern Ireland. Because they come up from deep water, the swim bladders are quite distended and there's a lot of air trapped inside. So as long as you don't pierce the swim bladder, the pollen tends to stand up off the bottom and you need a bit of weight to just pull it down. And of course that gives you a perfect presentation right in the face of the pike. Now on the other rod, I'm going to use a good old favourite, the old mackerel. Now, pike in reservoirs, lakes, rivers, they just love mackerel, and I'm very, very confident in that. I'm sure if a pike comes across that, it's going to take it. So we've got a couple of options of bait. We've got a huge swim to have a go at, and what we're going to do is just try and cover every inch of it before the light goes. Matt's already in action. I'm going to join him, and I cannot wait. Right, let's just drop it in the margin and just see how it stands up. How's that for a presentation? It's popped up off the bottom, and as the current just starts to move it, it's going to look like a live fish or perhaps a dying fish, and any pike seeing that, I'm convinced will just home in on it. Well, the baits are in position and the weight is on. What a lovely place to sit and wait, eh? Oh, yes, I've got one. Oh, it doesn't feel a bad one. I've been combing every little bit of the river and I've just tried under that tree where it's a bit quieter, where we haven't been making a noise on the bank, and got a bite in a very short time. So if I don't lose it, I can see the bait on its nose. I think it comes now. Coming up on the surface now, I think. No, it's not having it. Hey, Matt. I've got one, you know, mate.
You got one on?
You know, we said we'd try under that tree.
Yeah.
It went within 2 or 3 minutes. Are you all right, mate?
Well, I've got a tree in a very awkward place.
Oh.
Was that on a pollen?
On a pollen, yeah, just popped up off the bottom. Oh, it's a double, all right. Oh, yes. Don't they fight hard, these river pike?
Yeah, it's strong.
It's been as awkward as it can be. You can see it. Right, it should come in now, mate. Nice one. Right, we've got the pike. We've just got to get Matt up here now. Let me have the pike first, and then I'll get you in a minute. Right, I've got it. Well, that's what we came for. That's a long, lean river pike, and a real powerful fish that was, Matt. But you can see it's not like a reservoir or a gravel pit pike. It's more of an athlete, this one. Used to fighting out there in the current. Well, that's well into double figures, Matt, and a good start to the trip, eh?
Nice fish, mate. Well done. I think there's a good spot just downriver to return it, Mick. It'll be a lot easier, believe me.
Okay. Oh, it's a good place to slip it back, mate.
That water's cold.
Yeah, it's a beautiful fish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at that camouflage on its back, eh?
Perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it's lying down there among those stones.
Yeah.
She's swinging her tail now. I'll just hang on a second longer.
Yeah, she's ready. There she goes. Ooh. In terms of physical difficulty, this is probably some of the hardest pike fishing you're likely to do, and it really is hard here. The river really has the potential to turn up some much bigger fish, and certainly a 20-pounder is a good possibility. Matt and I, despite the rain and the horrible conditions, we're really fired up now. We're going to give it a good go anyway.
Well, I've just leapfrogged upstream of Mick. I've moved up a little bit at a time, just hopping the rods up the bank to cover the water. Come to this cracking pool, but nothing yet. But we have caught a fish at least, and we've established that there are fish in this area, so that's good. The only downside, I think, is the fact it started raining. You can see how gloomy it is, and the forecast for tomorrow is for more heavy rain. it rains too heavily, the river's going to rise quickly, there's going to be a lot of weed coming down the river, it's going to colour, and that's going to kill the pike fishing. So I'm hoping we'll get stable river conditions for the duration of our visit. It's in the lap of the gods really. Tomorrow's another day. We found an area with pike in. Let's just hope the rain holds off and we get the chance to cover more water.
I've got it, Matt.
I've arrived just in the nick of time. This is last knockings, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a well-known fact that pike do feed in darkness, and because the fishing's been difficult, we've stayed right into the blackness, and I've just been twitching this buoyant bait across the swim, and bang, something's had it. Feels a good fish. Probably another double, I think, Matt.
It looks all right, actually.
Oh, yeah. Here it comes. Try and net it now if you can, mate.
I will.
Hang on, I'll just... Oh, it's powerful. Oh, it just doesn't want to come in.
Go on, my son.
I think it must be me. I must have lost my strength. Oh, I hope it does it this time.
It did. It went straight in there. That's a bigger one, Mick.
Yeah, that's a bit of drama anyway. We've
Put it on these reeds.
How's it hooked?
Not too bad. Oh, quite. Just across its gill rakers a bit.
See that
you
one?
see it? Just
Can you
lift
lift
it out
that?
now. Yep.
Right, chuck that over the river.
There you go, Mick. That's a nice
Well,
pike.
that's not a bad pike, is it?
No, it's a lovely pike, actually.
Well, that's...
You all onto that?
It's a great end to what's been quite a difficult day, really. Well, that is one big fat river pike, and I reckon that's not far off £20, mate.
It's not far out.
We'll probably put it on the scales later, but I reckon it's not far off, and
It's about 18 odd.
I'm one happy man. Can't wait for tomorrow. What about you?
No, 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 not when you see fish like that. We're back on the Wye. Things have started well. We've had some superb fish, but we knew that the Wye held bigger pike. Nothing, of course, near the record of over 46 pounds from Langdegfed Reservoir, but you know, if you spend some time on this fantastic water, it's possible to get a fish over 30 pounds, and that's what we were still aiming for.
You know, when we're out filming, we get to some fantastic locations, but I think this is probably the most beautiful place I've ever been to. And do you know what really stands out to me? It's just so quiet here. All I can hear is the ripple of that water behind me. And that's quite rare today.
Right, Mick, you might never see me again. I might start sliding and not stop.
Next stop, Monmouth. Warms you up climbing up and down these banks, doesn't it?
Right, I've now got that set at about 18 feet.
Well, we've caught some really nice pike on the dead baits, and if you fancy having a go at fishing dead baits yourself, you might not know how to actually put the hooks in. The hook positions are actually quite important. Most of the time I like to just put one hook right in the wrist of the tail, get it in really firmly so you can get a really good hefty cast, and the other one halfway down the flank, and that's it. It's as simple as that. Now the pike, when it picks up the bait, it'll tend to swallow it head first, and now you can see the reason why we've mounted the hooks in that way, because when we strike, the hooks are in the natural position to strike nice and cleanly. That method's fine when you're presenting the bait lying flat on the bottom, but the other method we're using is actually to trot the bait down the swim. Now I made the bait quite differently. I actually do it the other way around. One hook just in the top of the head, and the next hook just down by the dorsal fin. Now, the reason I do that is that it behaves a lot more naturally in the current instead of being dragged through backwards. So there's two very simple ways of mounting your dead baits. Methods I've used for many, many years, and they are very, very effective.
Sometimes the bites can be really subtle that you get from these pike, and you've got to be aware for any slight movement or dither on the float. And in that case, it was just a piece of weed drifting through, but you've got to be vigilant. False alarm. What depth you got there, Mick?
Well, I've set at 10 foot, but it's on the bottom.
Well, I can't catch anything at the moment. I might as well be fishing in a puddle. Granny's doing all right though. At long last, I've got a take. Oh, yes. believe me, that feels good. Took it right across the river. Oh, thrown the bait. It's gone, Mick.
Oh, Matt.
It's just thrown the bait. It was just sitting down there waiting for you, but oh well. Do you know why the fish came off? One of the other points of the treble had gone into the flesh of the fish.
It only happens when you don't want it to, actually.
That's right. Well, whatever I've done in a former life.
I was just thinking about what you've done in this life, mate.
You're right, actually, Mick. You can get down here and walk along the bank.
Oh, this swim isn't as good as I thought it was, Matt. I thought it was going to be deep here, but you can see it's quite shallow. It might deepen off towards the far side. Yeah, I think I'm going to just try a little bit further. Oh, cry! Oh, did you see that, Matt? Matt?
I can see it.
I was just bringing my bait across the river and something just grabbed it. Oh, yes. I think it's only a small pike. It just shows 2 minutes in the right place. He's worth 2 hours in the wrong place when you're river piking. Well, it's probably getting on for double figures, man. Wow. See, he's just nicked on the edge where he just grabbed the bait as I was bringing it across. Right, I've just got to find some way of lifting this out now. Got it. Oh. It's a bit bigger than I thought, Matt. Well, that's what we've come for, a nice big chunky river double, and getting on for mid-doubles, I would say. But I can't get over the density of these fish. They feel really heavy, just solid muscle, absolute solid muscle. Try and put it back without drowning myself. Well, that's just ready to go. There's no need to hold it for long. Well, as you've probably noticed, I'm having a run of luck, not just today, but in this series. And I think in your lifetime, you tend to fish at your own sort of level and ability, and you have some really good days and some really bad ones. And luckily, while we're doing this series, I'm having those very few really good days that come once in a lifetime. So I'm just glad I've been able to share it with you.
Mick spoke about how he's on a run of good luck at the moment, and it's exactly the opposite for me. No matter what I do, it just doesn't seem to go right, and I know it's not anything to do with the way I'm fishing, because I'm fishing as hard as I ever have, and you know when you're fishing well, and you know when you're fishing like a plonker. And at the moment I'm fishing really, really well, but I'm just not getting that rub of the green, and it's very, very frustrating. I've been in this situation before, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to get out of it. Whether you just kid yourself that you're fishing well or not, I don't know really. When you're on a run like this, it's so difficult, and it's so frustrating, it really is. You start to ask yourself, you know, what should I have done, what could I have done different, and quite often the answer is nothing really. You just didn't have to drop your bait in the right place at the right time.
I mean, the pattern has been, every fish we've had, it's been within, 5 to 10 minutes of dropping in a new spot, yeah.
Keep moving.
We've run out of decent bait now, haven't we? We've used the good bait and we're on the rubbish now.
We've got a couple of hours to go,
Yeah.
pouring me rain. We've got rubbish bait, and our bait won't pop up either. So, it's not looking too good, really. I think I might have some interest in this trotted bait. It seems to be moving along anyway. It isn't, it's just the bait, actually. Look at the float go. Oh, look at this fish go. Scroof. What a run that was. Well, Mick's been telling me to think lucky, because I've been a bit depressed over my lack of success, and I have got a run straight away in this lovely new spot. And this fish is fighting like crazy. No wonder they come off sometimes. They're so strong, these white pike. We're fishing at the edge of one of the old salmon groins that was put in to create a lie behind which the salmon can rest up. And it's created a terrific diversion for the pike.
Do you want to net it, Matt, or you're going to lift it?
I can probably chin it out, actually, if you grab me rod.
OK, mate.
because the hooks are just on the edge of his mouth. He'll snarl the net up.
Yeah, okay.
Look at the bait sticking out of his mouth there. There, gotcha.
Look at that. Aren't they
Nice
lovely
fish,
fish?
Mick.
Aren't they beautiful?
Oh, they're superb. You know, I'm so happy about catching that fish.
I told you, think lucky and you'll be lucky.
You'll be lucky.
Yeah, works for me.
That's a beaut.
Really thick across the back.
Do you know, Mick, our luck has turned since we switched to shallower water, you know?
Yeah.
We've come out of the deeps. It's only about 4 or 5 foot deep here.
Yeah, they obviously haven't gone into the winter quarters yet.
No. It's quite heavy, actually.
Yeah, it's probably heavier than it looks, but we won't bother weighing it. It's one's getting back in the water, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. Right, let's get the old freshwater croc ready to go. That fish really wants to swim off, but look at that. Those colours on its back, it gives it perfect camouflage with those rocks, so it can lie down there on the bottom, and the prey fish that are coming past won't even see the fish, and it just lunges up. The prey fish are history. Look at that. Good.
I reckon another 5 minutes here and work down to the next swim. I've just walked down actually and it does deepen off a little bit down there.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, I now think we're totally out of our minds. What are we doing here?
I don't know. It's pouring with rain,
Yeah.
and of course the river's now going to rise.
Yeah.
And we fished it in the worst conditions, I think, Mick.
Yeah.
Low, clear river,
Yeah.
right at the end of a long, hot summer.
Yeah.
Sounds like excuse making, but on the positive side, although we didn't get the monster,
Yeah.
what pike they were that we caught.
I mean, we did show you a sample of what this river can provide.
And what fish they were, the ones we caught.
Yeah, really muscular pike, weren't they? We didn't get the big one, but I think we'll perhaps come back for that later.
Well, I think that the Wye's got it all. Pike well into double figures, that's the average size.
yeah.
Absolutely spectacular scenery. This is probably the premier river pike fisher in the country for me. And I'm really looking forward to coming back here when there's a bit of frost on the ground
Yeah,
and the old current bun's out. I reckon then we might do some damage.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that too, mate.
Let's go home.
Tomorrow at 10, new boy Ed gets a lesson in good jock, bad jock in brand new The Garage. But next tonight, Boyd and the boys discover a 65 Ford Mustang in a barn on American Hot Rod.